Okay, so here we are. We're going to be creating an ebook today, probably with a piece of software that most of you have not used before and are not familiar with. This piece of software is called Juto, and I purchased mine from juto.com, where you can go in and just click on the buy, and as you can see, it's actually pretty inexpensive. I just bought the standalone basic version, which allows you to import, edit, and create ebooks. If you believe that you want the other ones, this has a lot of extra features which I have not played around with. And if you decide that in the future, if you do purchase the regular edition and you want to get the upgrade, you can do that, and all it costs you is the difference between the regular version and the plus version. So if you decide it's not quite enough for you, then you can get the premium version, and you don't have to pay any extra premium for it. So with that, we will open up the Juto software here. Alright, now you can see this actually opened up at one of my new books, and it pops up with different helpful tips that you can use while you're making your ebook. So we're going to close this, and I am actually going to close this project so that we can create a new one from scratch. Now I'm going to create a new one for my most current book, which I haven't published yet, Amara's Law Hybrid Tech. So we'll create a new project. I'm sorry, that may have gone off the window here. Okay, so new project. Here we go. The book title is going to, you just enter in your book title. Here. And you see it comes up with the identifier as the same as your book title. Here's your language. In my particular case, this is United States English. Your author, the date on which you're going to publish, and if you're going to publish it, if you own your own publishing company, you can put that here, or you can leave that blank. Contributors, if there's anybody else who helped with your book or helped you write the book, you can put that there. Subject, if all of these are pretty much self-explainable. If you're writing a non-fiction book or a self-help book, you put your subject in here, and all this in here is the metadata that goes into your ebook file. So now I would recommend that you also put at least your website here. So mine is Andrew Griffin Books. So I put that in there, and that will be listed in the data. I got to spell my name correctly first. And then this description is what I typically will put in here is I'll put the what I call the back cover copy, and that's if you were to buy a paperback, that is the the text that goes on the back of the paperback book. So we'll go in here, and I will go and find my back cover copy right here, and open that up, and then select all of this, copy it, go back over to Juto, and we do paste. Now I'm using keyboard shortcuts here because I'm so used to doing it, but it's just a copy and a simple paste. Now once you're satisfied with this, you can go click next. You can call the project name kind of whatever you want, and then in my particular case, since I am using Linux, an Ubuntu flavor called Mate, it's going to go into my home directory under my name in my documents folder under Juto documents, so that everything in there is going to be an ebook. And if you have a template, you can put in a template here, and this ebook format's down here. Will configure your project for your initial choice of ebooks. Now you can do all of these, and actually I would recommend that you do all of these, because you never know where you're going to publish it, especially if you're going to be distributing your own ebook. It would be useful to have all of this stuff, especially, and I would especially say, make sure you have the EPUB and the Mobi Pocket. Those are the two popular formats for ebook readers such as Kindle, the Nook Reader, and a lot of these other ones are also available on devices like the Kobo, or they can be opened in Apple Books and stuff like that. Smashwords, in particular, if you are looking to use a distributor for your ebook, is one of the more popular ebook distribution sites. Smashwords and Draft2Digital. So once you're happy with this, we go ahead and click Next. And now this is your layout choice. So you can choose to create a normal reflowable book, such as you would find in a Kindle, or a fixed layout book that would be more along the lines of a comic book or a children's picture book, as it lists right here. A book which you don't want the text and or images to move around as the user changes the size. I always choose a normal reflowable book because my books are not designed for children, and they are not comic books. So I want to allow my readers to change the size of the fonts and the text to make it easier for them to read. So then we click Next. And now if you can choose all of your options here, and they're very simple and straightforward. You can import your images or not. You can import these particular types of images as drawing objects, and do all these other great things in here. Now this is, you have a large selection on which you can choose what you do for your import, and I would suggest that you look at how your document is encoded, but I typically have not had a problem using this Unicode 8-bit when importing text. You might be more concerned about some of these other ones if you are publishing in different languages, or have lots more images or something like that. But you can see most of these is going to be for different languages and stuff like that. But mostly if you're publishing in the United States, the 8-bit is going to be sufficient for you. I'm not going to go into what the details of the different types are in there, mostly because I don't know. But if that's something that you feel that you might need to play around with, you have that to play around with. Now, style options. This is very important. If you have a specific style template, which if you are publishing documents yourself, you should be using styles. And for more on that, there are lots of videos on using different styles. I know Derek Murphy has a few on how to use styles to format your book, and they are extremely powerful and easy ways to format your book, which allow you to select, for example, your chapter titles or your first paragraphs, and then change those how you want them, so that anytime that you change the style, all of the things that are selected with that particular style will change. And it's an extremely useful way to make sure that if you need to update anything, everything gets updated inside your file. And you can assign, you can import your CSS from HTML and EPUB books if you're going to do that. And I would recommend that you make sure that you assign different styles to each one of these. In fact, if you look at the way most textbooks are laid out, the first paragraph is almost always different from the second paragraph in terms of indentation or first character font sizes and stuff like that. So take a look at several books to make sure that you understand what you're getting into here. And I would certainly recommend making sure that you use the heading style here for your chapters, because that will allow you to create a table of contents very simply in the next couple of pages. So now you can choose how you'd like to create your project. I will typically, you can do either of these two. If you have broken out your book as chapters instead of one whole document that contains everything, you can go to whichever folder you have all the chapters in. Or if you have one file which contains your entire book, you can click on that, go to your particular book, and select your whole book. Right, so this is my whole book right here. So we'll just open that, right? And now you can browse for different files, etc. Or, and if you really want to, you can write your entire book inside of Juto and convert it directly to ebook. This is probably the cleanest way to do it if you're starting from scratch. It allows you to use all of the Juto formats without it having to import and convert anything from any other file. You'll avoid conflicts and stuff if you do that. So this is, also another option in terms of your word processor. Like a lot of people use Microsoft Word, a lot of people use Scrivener to create their documents. You can also use Juto, and it has a lot of different things that allow you to make your ebooks rather simply. Then we click Next, and you see here it's scanned and imported stuff. Alright, now you can see that we split here by, you can split by styles, and I think the document that I may have imported did not have any styles to change the headings of, but that's okay. Normally, if you have formatted in a Word document or something, each of your chapters to have a chapter heading that is, a heading 1 style for your chapter name, you can find that. You'll find that here. Now, I didn't do that, but you can also split by a text pattern. So if you've named your thing chapter something, whatever, you'll see here that all my chapters are now broken out. And there's more chapter than this, so it only gives you a preview. So you'll see here I've got all my chapter titles listed out here, so that when I finish importing this, it will break out the chapters and have all of these as individual chapters in the ebook. So it's also important when you're creating this to make sure that if you do decide to break out your chapters individually, that you use the same pattern every single time, or have them split by a style. Now, sometimes whatever word processor that you're importing from or whatever other document you have may have unused styles. You can remove those from the style sheet, and that will reduce the size of your file and reduce the amount of just clutter in your file. You can also make sure that if the style that you have in your thing is exactly what you want, that style will override any of the styles that Juto would normally apply. Or alternatively, you can discard all of them and apply Juto styles to everything. And you can remove empty paragraphs, which if you've done your book correctly, you shouldn't really have any empty paragraphs. But if you wait till the end in order to format things, and then you remove all your empty paragraphs that you may have inserted in between your paragraphs to make sure that they are spaced, this will do that for you. I kind of like that, so I like to include that. Alright, then we can click Next. Now if you have an existing cover or a temporary cover, you might want to use that, because I found it's difficult to change this once you have already imported the book. You have to kind of select a new cover. You can't go into its template and redesign or change this cover. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you how to import a cover. We're going to browse this, and I'm going to select just an image that I found on the internet, and we'll see what this looks like. So you can use this you can use this file, or you can create a new design in Juto. All right. So we'll just go to the next one, and of course the next one is we just finish. So here we go. Overwrite file. We'll go with no on this, because I've already created this once before. Oh, and of course it just it just deleted all the stuff that I had there. So I'm going to pause this and redo something here, and we'll get back to this in just a second. Alright, so we're going to try clicking this again. Alright, so now you can see it's creating all the things, and whoop, up pops our book right here. So now it tells you what you can do next. After that, you can select the configuration. You can re-import a file with different settings. You can edit your project metadata, blah, 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 blah. So I always make sure that this is here so that we can do that, so that it tells me that every single time. Now you can see here it's split out on the left-hand side, all of my chapters. So as you select each of the chapters, it comes up. And you'll notice that in my original document, since I didn't change the style for this chapter heading here, there's no real style associated with that. So what we can do is just go over here, and we can go over to heading 1. We can apply that, and you see it will center, make the font bigger, kind of bold it, and then we can do that with every single chapter. And see here, it's very easy to go to each one of the things, and we can select that every time. So we'll just go through and do that whole thing. And then if you want to do your first paragraph, let's pick a nice chapter that doesn't start that way. So this is the first paragraph, the first 2 paragraphs here. So this can be selected as body text, right? That'll be our first paragraph. And then you can go to the next paragraph, and you can select a different one. So in fact, you can select this whole thing and apply the style like this. So this is a quick styles kind of introduction. You apply this, and now you see everything is now going to get indented so that it's all separated out. There'll be a little space between each of the paragraphs so that you can see in it. And now your first paragraph is different from the next paragraphs. So, and you can also, when you go into these, you can edit the styles in here and change how you want to do it. And once you change the style, everything that has that style associated with it will change. And that is an extremely powerful thing. For example, if you wanted to change the tab spacing here, or you wanted every paragraph to have a certain way it looks, or this first paragraph to have a large drop-down cap, or something, or the first word is always bolded, you can change that in the style itself. And once you apply that style to the rest of the document, or if it's already applied to the document, you update that style, and then everything is updated with that style. And I think that that's just an extremely powerful and really cool way to make lots and lots of changes to your document very, very quickly. So once we have all this, and you're happy with the format that you've got, you can then go over here to the Build control panel, and you can select your output, whether it's an EPUB, Lulu, Open Document, blah, 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 blah. I typically will do MobiPocket, as most of the people that I talk to have a Kindle or a Kindle app on their phone. And so you can select that, and then you just click compile. Like, it's fairly awesome and very, very easy to do. So I'm actually going to go back in here. I make sure I selected and got rid of all the hybrid tech. Yep, I got rid of all those. Those are in there. Okay. So now I'm just going to compile this. What it's going to do is it's going to make a Kindle file out of that entire thing, including this cover right here. Now it says right here, important metadata fields were not filled in. Sorry, publisher. So that tells you if you've missed anything. Now this is just a warning. It's not going to prevent you from doing anything, which is nice. But you can always then go back and change this. You can edit the metadata and say, oh shoot, I forgot to fill in the publisher. They're right. You fill that in, click OK, and then go back to compile again, and it will recompile the entire thing and tell you if there are any problems again. And now it should come back clean. There we go. No messages. Then this button here allows you to launch into another thing. In this particular case, I have another piece of software which is really powerful called Calibra. And you can then go into this, and if you're really, really, gung-ho about this stuff, you can actually go into the XML coding language inside the ebook itself and change things on a base code level. It's a really powerful piece of software, and it allows you to convert back and forth between anything. It also allows you to preview books and kind of how a book is going to be listed. So here would be the front cover, and then we have the back cover copy here saying what the book is about. And I tend to have fairly short ones. I try and keep them to about a paragraph so I don't lose anybody. I don't know about everybody else, but when I try and read what a book is about, if this is like 5 paragraphs, I'm like, I don't even want to read that. But if it's a paragraph, maybe 2, I'll usually read it and try and find out what the book is about. All right, so this is now all set for publication. So now if we go into where it's stored the file here, we'll see Amara's Law, the newest one right here. Now this can be directly side-loaded onto a Kindle, and if you don't know how to side-load on a Kindle, please let me know below, because I can show you guys how to do that relatively simply. Or Amazon, I believe, allows you to directly upload a finished Kindle format book. So if you tinker around with this and play around with it and get everything the way that you like it, you can then just upload that straight into Kindle, and you don't have to do any of the other stuff. You don't have to enter in your publisher or all the other text or anything. They'll just take that Mobi Pocket file, look at it, make sure everything is good, and then they'll approve it. Like you shouldn't have any problems with the internal formatting or having to try and mash it into whatever Kindle wants you to do online. And you see here, it'll give you a nice idea of the size of your file, so you can estimate digital delivery costs, which, if you're operating on tight margins for your book, is going to be very useful for you to know when you're setting your price for your book, because Amazon does charge a delivery charge per, I forget, I think it's per 100 kilobytes, but they do charge a delivery charge for larger files. All right, so that is my quick and dirty video on how to format, import, and publish an ebook using a piece of software called Juto. Again, I'll bring up the website here. Now this allows you, Juto is one of my favorite pieces of software. I use it all the time, mostly because it's compatible with my particular operating system, with the Linux operating systems. So if you're interested in looking at this, I would recommend it, and it is fairly inexpensive. It's not, you're not going to find a lot of the bells and whistles that a program like, Vellum would have, and this has the added benefit that it is compatible with more platforms than just the Macintosh platform. So that is my my video on creating ebooks with the Juto software. I hope that everybody has enjoyed this and found it very useful. And I hope that it inspires some people to see that self-publishing is actually extremely simple. And this will allow you to offer ebooks to anyone if you are, say, at a show or any sort of local fair. You can offer people ebooks, linking this Mobi file or any of the other digital files to something like so that will allow you to offer it on something like BookFunnel or any of the other services which allow authors to directly download, which allow customers to directly download the ebooks from a site. Even if you have an online store on your own website, this will allow you to do that. Okay, well, thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed today's content, and have a good evening.